Okay, in this next portion, we're going to be looking at the Kessler Crane second shooter system and see how well it performs doing these really super macro moves. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've had some problems with the Kessler Crane system in the past. To be fair, the only products I've ever used by them, other than the hat, was the second shooter system. And with that, I used the base controller. I have 2 plus controllers, and I have a pro controller. I've got 2 full 4-axis kits with an extra piece for a turntable, and that's kind of what I've been playing with. And I've used Chaos on the iPad. It was a 2017 iPad Pro, and I've also used the SSR remote recently on this. And going through and doing this portion with Kessler kind of maybe changed the way I'm going to do this entire set. I originally planned to just do one video, maybe about 20 minutes, trying to get in the meat potatoes, trying to keep it fun, entertaining, and stuff like that. But once I started testing through the Kessler system, I felt it was important that I just show it in the entirety. And it's not that long. It's like 17 minutes, okay? But you could skip to the conclusion, which you should have seen where the conclusion is at. Or I'll have a slide in here showing you where the conclusion is going to be if you don't want to watch the entire thing. But I ran into quite a few issues with the Kessler system, and these are issues that I've run into multiple times with this system. It's nothing new to me, and it was pretty much went exactly the way I expected. And I thought it was important, if I'm going to be putting this out there, to show the entirety of how it went. Now, I'm going to tell you what, it did not go great, but did not go horrible either. And also, let's keep in mind, what I am doing is I am putting this to a test of where I am expecting it to make programmed moves at like a 10-to-1 minimum macro. I mean, I'm probably sitting about 13 to 14 to 1. There's no markings on the lens that tell me, but I'm knowing getting pretty close to the close focus on it. I've never used any of their other products. I have no idea what the rest of their product line is. I know that their customer service has always been relatively responsive, and that's gone well. I know I've had several conversations with Eric Kessler, and he seems like a really nice guy. So I don't want this to try to be a slam thing. It's just, but this is my result, okay? I'm not going to dress anything up. I'm not going to sit there and tell you something's the greatest thing in the world if I'm running into problems. That's not what I'm here to do, okay? So let's just keep that in mind when walking through this and looking through it, that, you know, there are some highlights, and at the end there were some successes with this too. Even though when you're going through it, you might not see them just yet, and I'll get over to those when we get to the ending of this. Anyway, without any further ado, here I am in the studio testing all this with the Kessler Crane Second Shooter Pro. Okay, next up is the Kessler Second Shooter. This is from Kessler Crane. I've got a couple of these rigs, and quite frankly, I haven't had the greatest experience with them. A lot of communication issues and stuff, so I don't really use Chaos or the SSR app because they've just been problems for me. And it got to the point where after multiple trouble takes with Kessler, I finally just shelved the system for about 6 months. And I pulled it out a few months back in order to film some lettuce hydroponics up in my workshop. But I haven't really trusted it with anything too hardcore yet. And this is going to be interesting because I've never played with the PlayStation controller through this to see how it works. I do have the Second Shooter app loaded on my phone. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up. Let's see if we connect to the device. It says it's initialing. The device I can't talk today. It's initialized. Okay, so the only thing that you do now is you just connect this to your phone. So this is one of the reasons I think this is inherently going to be more problematic to control at these levels, is simply because this has to talk to the phone, and then the phone talks to this. It is not a direct connection between them. So if you're having any problems, but I tell you what though, this is a relatively new PlayStation controller. This is a Galaxy S21 Ultra. It's not an old phone. And this is the Second Shooter Pro, their newest device. So, I mean, we should be set for success here. All right. Now, Kessler did once tell me that you're not supposed to connect it and use it right next to it, but I don't understand that, because if you're trying to use it, you're probably going to want to be near it. Whatever. Anyway, I got it all set up. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some really simple delete all keyframes. Let's clear all that out. We're just going to try doing the same thing. We're just moving it around a little bit. Let's just kind of play around and see how it feels. So I've got it connected to the gamepad, which has left thumbstick is tilt and pan. And then I've got the triggers, which are slide right and slide left, which is actually the focus wheel. So let's see. Why do I not have a feed? Oh, it's just dark. Apparently looking into the abyss. Let's see if we can. Oh, no, hold on. Okay. I need to adjust the settings. ISO 3200. That was my mistake. Okay, now let's see if we can find this. Oh, there we go. All right, so now you can see, there it is. So, very nice. And let's see if we can find a couple critters. I think there might be some over. Oh, okay. Whoa, no, see. No, 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 no. Okay, can we move back, please? All right, this already is exhibiting the kind of the issues that I run into that cause me an enormous amount of frustration to where I hardly use this system. Okay, we got these little guys right here. And you know what? Let's make this a little bit easier. I'm going to pull these dudes out a little bit, and let's just go ahead and adjust this focus. Let's get them a little bit further. Well, we don't want to go that far away, but let's give them a little bit more room so they're kind of closer to where they were with the Emotomo. Okay, now here we go. There they are. All right, so I got these two little dudes right here. And what I'm going to try and do is just do a long, gentle glide past them. That's it. Just wait for the vibration to stop. All right. So I'm starting to turn left a little bit. Okay. No. All right, so go the other way. Oh, that's interesting. All right, so there's some, it looks like some backlash. So watch, if I hold all the way over to the left, see that? There's definitely lag in there, but watch. It moves a little bit and stops and then starts shooting forward. Move, stop, shoot forward. Let's see if we can get these motors. Okay, we're going to turn max speed and max speed down, damping down. Let's see what happens. All right. So just slightly holding. Okay, now watch. Okay, so it's doing some kind of like, I'm just gently holding left. It moves a little bit, then it stalls, and then it starts moving, and then boom, fast. That's how it goes. I kept my thumb in the same spot the whole time. We're going to change direction and do that again. I'm just going to put my thumb over until I see it just move a little bit and hold, not moving anywhere. Boom. That's odd. What if I reel in that backlash though? So what if I move in the same direction? And try and move just a hair. I don't know. I don't know how well this is going to work. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and do program in a couple moves real quick. All right. Let's go all the way back down to keyframes, and we're going to say, I want to give it as much room to move as possible because the shorter you make it, the harder it gets. But let's see if I can get this framed up. Nope, nope, that's not what Jesus. So I tapped the trigger and the Cinovate lens ring just goes completely wild. No. No. See, that's not. All right, whatever. We're just gonna set this keyframe. Let's just get going. I'm gonna move up, and we're just gonna put them in the other corner. That's all we're gonna do. I'm not gonna. What the heck was that? No, down, down, up, down. Okay, cool. Little shift on the focus, maybe. Ugh. See, this is why I hardly ever use this system. All right, cool. Keyframe 2. All right, now we're going to go to live motion, and it's got this 25 times, so that's fine. We're just going to hit play, and let's see what happens. It's going to go back to the first position, so it didn't get all the way there, but whatever. The focus didn't actually move at all. Try not to breathe on it. Got him away in the corner. All right, it's got a little bit of a stair-step action to it, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Tell you what, let's go back, go to keyframe 1, keyframe 2. Replace keyframe. So keyframe 1. All right, whatever. Let's we're gonna do a time lapse. We're going to do, we had 240 on the Emotimo. So I'm going to do 240 on this. Delay 2. Exposure. Take that down to 1. All right, and I'm going to set this camera up for time lapse. So we're going to end this here. Go to my preset, which is 2-second interval. And then white or ISO. Let's bring this up and get some light on there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run this, and I'm going to step out it here for a minute. Okay. I don't know what's going to I don't know how well it's going to do. Hopefully it does good. We'll see. Convert. So as far as I know, it's running. So I'm recording there. Okay. Seems to be going. Well, I'll come back in a little bit and we'll check this out and see how everything went. Okay, so I had to come back in because I got a message on my phone saying it was initializing the device. I came back in and the second shooter was no longer doing its move. So right now it's initializing. All keyframes have been deleted. That's perfectly fine. I don't know what. Whoa, whoa. Whoa. Okay, so that got backwards all of a sudden. All right. So I'm going to try this again. Go over to live motion, I guess. No, set up move. Do we have anything? Manual move. Okay. Whoa. All right, we got to tone all this stuff down. It's way too fast for the high speed. Okay, here we go. Seems to be trying to work a little bit. Here we go. Like just positioning on this, it's just frustrating because it doesn't, you might just lightly push something, you might heavily push something, but the result is inconsistent. That's all I can say is it's inconsistent. So, okay, well, go back. Like, why does it, okay, heavy damping, very low height speed. Now let's see. No? Okay, yeah, like apparently that's low speed. So obviously changing that did not do anything. Seriously, like the high speed is set way down, but the lightest touch, earlier I had it, okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's just stick with that. We got a keyframe number 1, woohoo! Okay, let's see, hold on. And it moved. Because I hit keyframe 1, trying to delete keyframe 1. This, to me, is just a really bad workflow problem. Like I've got the speed on this thing feathered down, but yet it just wants to leap and jump. I mean, setting this up to film a landscape probably isn't going to be all that difficult, right? But I don't understand why it's no longer honoring the top speed that I put in here. Oop. I don't know. Like, okay, this has always been my experience. So here it is being recorded. I mean, I'm not messing around. I'm not trying to screw this up. I really just want to try to get it on those little dudes, and I'm just, it really, okay, cool. We got a keyframe. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and move over just a little bit. Cool. Keyframe number 2. I'm fine with that. I don't care. I just want to be able to move forward with this. So here we go, live motion, time lapse. Okay, this one has been playing the whole time, so I'm just going to turn that off, turn this back on. Everything's filming, and I'm just going to hit play. All right, and it's going. I don't know if it didn't return to the spot it was supposed to start on or not. Okay, well, whatever. I'm just going to put this down here, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes and see how it went, all right? You know, starting with the time lapses, the first one obviously didn't go well. Shut off partway through, and there's this huge jump that happened. I'm not exactly sure, but this is far from usable. The second time lapse, on the other hand, went quite a bit better, and if you look, there's a little bit of a jumping in there. But if we just apply a very basic warp stabilizer, that smooths up pretty nicely, and that's fairly usable. When we start looking at the live move, though, this is a screenshot of the first keyframe. Now watch what happens. That's where it decided to start. So it did not hit that first keyframe correctly. And if you look, The movement on this is a little bit weird. It's like it kind of goes down and then swoops over to the left. It's not that straight diagonal move that I was trying to do. However, it was able to do it. But let's take a look at where it ends, and then we're going to see where the second keyframe was. So it was a lot closer on the second one, but definitely didn't hit the first. Let's go ahead and take another look at this with a warp stabilizer. And this is only a 3% warp stabilizer. And look at that. It really does do a good job of cleaning it up. And look how slow and smooth this is. Quite frankly, I'm really impressed it managed to do this, especially considering all the issues that I had with trying to get everything set up. But once you get everything going, it seems like it actually does a fairly decent job. Okay, so here we are. That was it. Tell you what, we have some successes. We have some failures. I have run, I mean, this really does kind of show a good demonstration of the kind of things I run into with the Kessler second shooter. One of the things you saw when the focus would just start moving, or when the camera just started moving on its own, I wasn't touching anything. I wasn't controlling anything. I wasn't touching the second shooter controller. I wasn't touching the phone with the app, and I wasn't touching the PlayStation controller. It just started moving. Things like that cause problems for me. So I really don't use this system for a whole lot anymore. But to be honest, most people that get this really aren't going to. They're just going to take it out and take it up to a landscape, program it up and everything. You're going to do that. You're not going to have any problems. I think the problems you're going to run into are going to be very minimal. Okay. It's going to work well for that purpose. And also, like I said, I have never used a Cine shooter. I have no idea how good or bad it is. I've never used anything else of their products. Literally all I've ever used is their second shooter pro. And I know that Kessler has a really good reputation, and there's probably a really good reason for that. Let's take a look at the problems that I ran into and the things that worked. Okay, first off, the control. Using this with it is nice, but it's kind of like when I use this in Dragon Frame. So my large Dragon Frame rigs, I can do the same thing, connect a controller to it, but at the end of the day, I just ditch it because it adds nothing to the workflow. It adds complexity, and if there's a communication mismatch, it causes problems. So I just got rid of it. But in this case, we used it because we wanted to do this live move testing. So the problem is you have the second shooter controller, which would be here. You have your cell phone, and then you have this. The PlayStation controller does not connect to the second shooter. It doesn't at all. It connects to your phone. And it just connects to your phone with the regular connectivity that your phone it'll get. So when it's connected to your phone, you can actually manipulate your phone with this. It's not restricted in the app. It's part of the phone itself. So they got that kind of overlaid onto their app where you can use it to control it. And in some ways it works relatively well. In other ways, I thought it was a little bit lacking. You saw when I'm trying to set things up, there are times where I'm just giving it a little tap and the focus isn't moving. It doesn't move. And I'm just like tap, tap, tap. And then I hit it and tap, and all of a sudden it goes wah, and like changes really far. If it's not consistent, if the motion isn't consistent, if I can't just feather it a little bit like this and get the same motion every time, however I do it, or hold it for a second, or put it wherever I want, if it's inconsistent, you can't control it. That's just all there is to it. So when it comes to actual live control, absolutely not. It is not capable of doing that at all. There were just too many problems. Communication drops. It doesn't honor the motor speed settings when you're changing those. We saw that in the video. There's some weird movements. Like, so if you're moving direction, the one direction, and you're going to stop, move the other way, what it does is it moves, it creeps along a little bit this speed, then stops. Then it picks up that speed again and then pops forward. I think this has to do something with backlash and ways reeling it up internally. You're probably not going to notice that to be any kind of an issue if you're doing larger landscape work and stuff like that. For this case, it really made it difficult to make these moves. So live moves, no. I was actually surprised though, because once we got past the live moves, if you can actually get it onto the spots, it does a fairly good job of putting it together, and the movement is pretty smooth. Now, there is a little bit of a stair step, and as you saw in the video, there's a little bit of a loop down. It doesn't just go straight from A to B. It's like it kind of goes up and, you know, kind of like this little side move with it. So, can you use it for this work? For programmed work and for time-lapse work, it looks like it's possible, even though it misses the keyframes when it repositions to that. And once again, I need to stress, we're doing 10 to 16 time magnification here, anything that it is doing, any behavior that it exhibits on here does not mean it's going to cut, or when it comes to positioning, does not mean that problem's going to be out there when you're working out in the field. If you're setting up like an interview with a ping pong and all that kind of stuff, it probably goes pretty well. But for this work, it just didn't do well. But it does demonstrate that the hardware is capable of hitting those levels of resolution. And not only that, it's able to chop them up into an actual time lapse or a shoot, move, shoot. And I thought that was pretty cool. So at the end of the day, the Kessler second shooter just is not quite up to the task for this. If you need to use it, you can. If you're going to be looking for a motion control system because you want to be able to do this kind of macro work, just kind of, you're going to have to make your decisions on what you want to do and how you want to prioritize the value of various systems versus the results that you get. Okay. I'm putting all of these things to a very difficult test. None of them are perfect, not even close. But I guess that's it. So let's go ahead, and we got one more system to look at, the Black Forest Motion Control. That's the Pine 2 with the their little rotary stages. And let's go ahead and take a look at this next.